Their stock's about $220 USD.
Jeez, come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
If it's that expensive, like they gotta put some serious money into this. It's I understand when you start something new and it blows up. I understand that there is some growing pains, but with these guys, the way everything happened, it was just like they should have just dumped so many things like security stuff. That should have been, even if they're gonna go, for me, if I see a commercial, if you got a if you have a commercial and it's talking about just like this Zoom, like,
Mhm.
hey, here's a commercial, and I got to pay a lot of money for those commercials to be out there, then I should have money to back it up for my security, because I don't want something to come out and then the security gets blown over and accounts get hacked, and then all of a sudden now I'm in a whole other world of trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, they definitely had to use a lot of their money. So a couple things that I've been looking at is that, well, I'm very interested in stocks. So up until they were in the media and all that stuff was going on, their stock was worth 150, 160, and then once they announced that as of the 30th of May, they're going to be upping a lot of their security features and stuff like that, their stock went over $200. See that big jump like that, right? But they didn't have a choice, because we also looked at platforms like Google threatening to remove them off their platform, right? So it's either you buck up or you get out.
Pretty much, yeah. And you know what? That's so interesting that you say that, because this other article here, it does talk about some things that were hacked and some abuse images and like just some really nasty stuff that was happening. But here, this is something actually that you brought up.
Yeah.
Joe O'Reilly, deputy editor at Pro Privacy, has suggested that Zoom still has some ways to go. And this was recently, this was very recently, has some ways to go if it is to stop large scale companies such as Google from banning the use of the platform. If you guys don't know how big of a juggernaut Google is, like I honestly don't know. Um, I don't know what to say. Like, Google is so big. Google
Like
is so big with it.
your app platforms, you have what? You have Apple, you have Google, you have Amazon, and you have Microsoft. Those are your app platforms. Those are your juggernauts, right? So if someone as big as Google says, I'm not putting this application on my platform, I'm pretty sure that's enough to cause the other platforms to turn their head and be like, well, if Google is not going to do it, then maybe we shouldn't too, right? A lot of these departments actually have a lot of these platforms actually have departments within themselves that communicate with the other platforms or with the other like tech companies, right? So I don't know, it's scary stuff. It's scary stuff.